Parts of research. The problem and its settings. Introduction. This section will indicate what will be covered by the study. A short outline of the topic and the gist of the work as a whole. Background of the study. This provides the context of the study or the research. The basic story and personal experiences give the reasons that led the investigation to choose a topic. Conceptual framework. This section illustrates the research map showing how the ideas will be generated. The researcher may formulate a theoretical schema for his research problem. Statement of the problem. There should be a general statement of the whole problem followed by the specific questions or subproblems into which the general problem. In qualitative designs, revising subproblems along the way is not uncommon. Scope and limitations of the study. This indicates how wide and narrow the focus of the study is. It explains what is to be included and excluded as well as the foreseen constraints that might inhibit further expansion of the investigation base. Limitations of the study include the weaknesses of the study beyond the control of the researcher. Significance of the study. The importance of the whole will be discussed in this section. It presents the primary beneficiaries of the study that the researcher have in mind. Definitions of terms. Terms should be defined operationally, that is, how they are used in the study. Review of related literature and studies. The researcher should involve the critiquing and evaluating what other researchers have done about being studied, whether conference proceedings, refereed journals, printed or online, and other published articles. The materials must be as recent as possible, objective, unbiased, and relevant to the study. Published and unpublished research studies such as thesis, dissertation, and research proceedings are sources of materials included in this section. The research studies are segregated into foreign and local studies. Research methodology and procedures. Method of research. The method of research used, whether historical, descriptive or experimental, should be explained briefly. This is the procedural part of the method, its appropriateness to the study, and some of its advantages should be given attention. Research locale. The location of the study should be discussed in this section. Respondents. These are the participants of the study that will help the researcher make the research possible. Data gathering instrument. Instrument is the generic term researchers use for measurement devices like surveys, tests, and questionnaires. Data gathering procedures. Data gathering is the process of gathering and measuring information on variables of interest in an established systematic method that enables one to answer stated research questions, test hypotheses, and evaluate outcomes. There are several techniques or strategies for data collection with corresponding statistical instruments. Statistical treatment. This depends upon the nature of the problem, especially the specific problems, and the nature of the data gathered. The explicit hypotheses particularly determine the kind of statistics to be used. Analysis, presentation and interpretation of data. Analysis. This is the process of breaking up the whole study into its constituent parts of categories according to the specific questions under the statement of the problem. This is to bring out into focus the essential features of the study. Presentation. This is the process of organizing data into logical, sequential and meaningful categories and classifications to make them amenable to study and interpretation. Interpretation of data. In interpreting the data, it should include what is needed to answer the research questions, and how to be collected and interpreted. This may be done qualitatively or quantitatively and sometimes mixed depending on the research questions and the type of data that was collected and needed to answer the research questions. Summary of findings, conclusions and recommendation. Summary of findings. A brief statement on the main purpose of the study, the population or respondents, the period of the study, method of research used, the research instrument, and the sampling design. The findings should be stated as concisely as possible. Conclusions. Conclusion should be logical and valid outgrowths of the findings. It should not contain any numeral because numerals generally limit the forceful effect or impact and scope of a generalization. It should point out what were factually learned from inquiry. Recommendation. This should aim to solve or help solve problems discovered in the investigation. There may be recommendations for the continuance of a good practice or system, or even recommendation for its improvement. Recommendation should be logical and valid.